Okay, good afternoon. Welcome to Iyun with Benzion. Today's daf is Kesubos Sadi Zion, number 97. The Mishnah on the bottom of Sadi Zion of an Aleph says it's about records of machlokas in the Chum and Reb Shimon. A woman whose husband died, and she's now selling his property in order to his real estate, really only what she's allowed to sell, for mazonos or for a ksuba. If she's married to the guy, she's entitled to mazonos even after he dies. So she can sell for mazonos, which is immediate need. And both according to Rabbanan and Rabbi Shimon, she can sell immediately without consulting Beis Din. And however, if she sells B'nai Erisin, where she's only collecting the ksuba, or the mazonos was already collected, or she's collecting her ksuba, and there's no more mazonos, so then it's machlokas from Rabbanan and Rabbi Shimon. According to Rabbanan, she always can sell even for a ksuba without consulting Beis Din. And according to Rosh Shimon, she has to come to Beis Din and appraise the property before she can sell, if she's collecting a ksuba. So the Gemara has a machlokas about the opinion of the Rabbanan. Why did the Rabbanan argue on Reb Shimon? Why, if she's only collecting her ksuba, right, which is not an immediate need, why don't we take the time, she come to Beis Din and appraise the property accurately and know how much really it's worth, get a better price for the husband and his heirs. So the Gemara gives two reasons on top of Sadi Zayin and Beis. Ula says the reason is china, and the word chen meaning grace for the woman. A person doesn't want his wife to be embarrassed in Beis Din. To go down to Beis Din is embarrassing, especially for a woman. Pure in court is degrading for a woman. Now, what's the difference in these two opinions? So, as I mentioned in the regular shir, the article translates chena because of favor. Now, because of favor what? Favor, doesn't say grace, it says favor. So, for number 2, I read the whole thing in the real shir. I'm just going to summarize what it says over here. It says, women will view men favorably when they observe the ksuba is easily collected without having trouble themselves before a court. Consequently, they will be more inclined to marry. It's about getting women to want to marry men. Now, the problem with this is, throughout the Gemara always says that women would rather get married than men. This is human nature. Women always want a commitment. Men don't always want a commitment. It's the way it works. You go out with a girl, you don't always get married to her. The woman, and they always want a commitment. They want to get married. They want the love of their life. The husband, it's a lot of a burden to be married to a woman, a lot of responsibility. It's hard, you might love the woman, but it's a big achraya, it's a big responsibility. So women always want to get married. The Gemara says, Tavla Mesa Tandum Lesa Armla. The Gemara says on 86, Yoser Mashish Rosal Yisa, Isha Rosali Nase. A woman wants to get married more than a man. It says also one will marry men that are inferior men, just so they can say that they're married. Women always want to get married, men not so much. So this Gemara uses the Mishim Chena that women will want to marry men. Women are not going to want to marry men unless they easily collect their ksuba. Doesn't really make any sense. Also, the word china doesn't mean favor, it means grace. Tosfos on 84a gives a different answer. He says, if they're able to sell without coming to court, they'll become wealthier, and they're able to have the ksuba easier, they'll become wealthier, and they'll find favor in the eyes of men, because men want to marry. It's helping the woman, right? It's really the woman wants to get married more, but we're helping the woman to have more money, that she'll be wealthier, and then she'll find more favor in the eyes of men because she has more money, right? You always want to marry the gold diggers, you want to marry the rich ladies. So usually it's the woman who will marry the rich men. So that makes sense for the word favor, but the word china really means grace, and like the article really says, really women want to get married more than men. So the first answer really doesn't make any sense. Second answer, I don't think I really understand fully. I like to say that china means, wherever it says that, it means grace. And the reason that the Gemara is saying we don't want to have them to go to Beis Din is very similar to Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan says a man doesn't want his wife, degradation, to come to Beis Din. It's degrading for a woman to come to Beis Din. It's also not the fact that it's bizayon, it's not graceful, right? One of the most beautiful traits a woman can have, even though it says Shekar Achein Vehevel Yofi, right? The whole Eishes Chayil is, a metaphor. It doesn't really make any sense. Eishes Chayil, Miyam Sa. You're not going to find an Eishes Chayil. Don't bother looking. It's not normal. Eishes Chayil is a weirdo. a weird lady that can't sleep at night, and she's just prioritizing making making scars for very poor people and staying up till 3 in the morning. She's not going to be a very good wife. Eshes Chai Miyim Saj. You shouldn't look for an Eshes Chai like that. There's no such thing. If she is, she's crazy. So you want what men look for a woman, and one of the things they look for a woman is beauty, and the second thing they look for is grace. This is not talked about enough in Shidduchim. They're talking about this more. Besides good midos, besides everyone's obviously attracted to a good-looking woman. Grace is an important concept by women, not so much by men. Men are supposed to be more assertive, aggressive. Grace is not such a good trait. They're supposed to be explicit men. Women have to be graceful, because part of femininity is being subordinate to men in a certain sense. Not completely, but men are supposed to talk down to women. That's what attracts women. If you flirt with a woman and you treat her like a queen, she'll treat you as a friend. If you treat yourself like a king and you treat her like a maidservant, she's gonna love you. That way you talk to her. You shouldn't treat her like that. You should treat her as a wife when you marry her, and you should be nice to her and buy her nice things. But the way you talk to her, you should talk the way in and down. That's flirting with a woman. Show who's the man. She wants a man. She doesn't want another woman. She can be friends with a woman, right? If you're a wimp, you're a nice guy. You're one of those nice guys. They'll put you in the friend zone. So the whole idea is that chena, grace, is a really important quality by a woman, and going into court and having to fight a lawsuit in court takes away from the grace of women. That's being direct. That's being assertive and aggressive. And those are not positive things by femininity. So it's very similar to Rabbi Yochanan saying, but the difference in Rabbi Yochanan is that Rabbi Yochanan says a person doesn't want his wife, and that's what the Gemara says. That Alchin is a grusha, right? If he's not married to her anymore, he divorced her in his life, then he died. He doesn't care about her. He probably hates her if he divorced her. So he'd rather her going to Beis Din, not just losing grace. It's actually, it's humiliating to go into Beis Din, especially for a woman. But she's a grusha, doesn't care. However, Mishum Chena is not because of the husband. It's because of Chazal cared for women, and even a grusha, they cared for her, that she'd be able to get remarried. And when a woman has legal battles and she's always in court fighting, it doesn't look good in the eyes of men. A woman who's always assertive, an alpha woman, is not an attractive quality for a woman. Alpha man is very attractive for a woman, but alpha female is not attractive for men. Men don't want women telling them what to do, assertive and aggressive to them, and making them subordinate to them. So men don't want that. They don't want the alpha woman. So she's going to lose her grace by being the alpha woman, being in court all the time. So it's really just, are we about the husband caring about his wife, or is it because Chazal cared about her that she should have grace? And it's different. Grace is because she's an alpha woman. She's asserting herself in court. She loses the grace. And there's a separate aspect of humiliation of coming to court. There's a difference in the two. Basically, the difference is whether the husband or Chazal were worried about her. That's what I think really the pshat in China is. China means that that Chazal are worried the woman shouldn't lose her grace by going into Beis Din. And then the Gemara says really basically that if she's just an heiress and she's just engaged, it's not such a lack of grace. When she's married already, involved in a marriage, then it's very disgraceful of a woman. She's in a legal battle with a man, and she goes to court and tries to win the court. So that looks really bad in the eyes of men, that she's a really alpha woman. If she wasn't married yet and she's going to court, that's not such a big loss of grace, like the Gemara says. The Chiddush is the second, but even the Grusham and a Suin, that's where you really lose a lot of grace. A Grusha will lose more. A Grusha would lose more grace by going into court. It's more at stake. Anyway, that's what I have to say today. I hope you enjoyed today's share. See you in the next one.